Before you listen to this message, I want you to ask yourself one question. What if the thing you've been searching for your entire life isn't success, but connection? Stay until the end, because the final lesson might change the way you see love, relationships, and your future forever.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in human history when technology moves faster than emotion, faster than trust, faster than the human heart can adapt. We build machines that think, rockets that land themselves, networks that connect billions of people in seconds. And yet somehow, in the middle of all this extraordinary progress, millions of people still go to sleep feeling invisible. That contradiction fascinates me, because for all the intelligence we have created, for all the systems we have engineered, there is still no algorithm powerful enough to replace one honest human connection. There is still no machine capable of replicating the feeling of hearing someone say, "I see you, I understand you, I choose you." And tonight I want to talk about something that sounds irrational in a world obsessed with logic. I want to talk about love, real love, the kind that terrifies ambitious people, the kind that powerful minds spend years trying to outrun, the kind that does not arrive politely with perfect timing, but crashes into your carefully designed future and changes the architecture of your soul forever. Tremendous. You see, the world celebrates people for building companies, building empires, building revolutions, but almost nobody talks about the emotional cost of becoming extraordinary. Nobody tells you that when you spend your life chasing impossible visions, eventually you begin to feel disconnected from ordinary human experiences. Your mind becomes a battlefield of calculations, predictions, probabilities, deadlines, pressure, and expectations. You learn how to survive criticism. You learn how to endure failure. You learn how to think 10 years ahead of everyone else in the room. But somewhere in that process, many brilliant people quietly lose the ability to simply stand still and say, "This is what my heart feels." And that is the tragedy of modern ambition. Bans because intelligence can protect you from failure, but it can also imprison you emotionally. Vision can inspire humanity, but it can isolate the visionary. The higher someone rises, the harder it becomes to know who truly sees them beyond the headlines, beyond the success, beyond the mythology people project onto them. At some point, the applause becomes noise, the attention becomes transactional, and the loneliness becomes difficult to explain, because from the outside, everyone assumes the successful person has everything. But let me tell you something most people never realize. Human beings are not fulfilled by admiration. They're fulfilled by understanding. A person can stand on the biggest stage in the world and still ache for one real conversation, one real moment. One person who looks at them not as a symbol, not as a machine, not as an icon, but as a fragile human being carrying impossible pressure behind confident eyes. And maybe that is why the most dangerous words someone can say are not, "I hate you." The most dangerous words are, "I love you," because love dismantles control, love exposes uncertainty, love forces even the strongest mind to enter territory where logic alone is no longer enough. Think about the irony of that. We can calculate orbital trajectories across millions of miles of space with terrifying precision. We can simulate artificial intelligence capable of learning human behavior. We can engineer systems that predict consumer patterns, weather systems, even biological responses. But no one can fully predict what happens when one human heart becomes emotionally attached to another. No equation can protect you from vulnerability. No innovation can remove emotional risk. And maybe that is exactly why love remains humanity's greatest frontier. Not because it is weak, but because it requires courage greater than ego. The truth is, many people spend their entire lives pretending not to care because caring deeply feels dangerous. Especially in a culture that rewards emotional distance, we have normalized detachment. We celebrate people who act unbothered. We romanticize coldness as strength. But there is nothing powerful about becoming emotionally numb. Real strength is being able to feel deeply in a world that constantly teaches you to shut your feelings down. I have seen people build entire identities around avoiding rejection. They become masters of productivity because productivity feels safer than intimacy. They chase achievements because trophies cannot abandon them. They become addicted to movement because stillness forces them to confront what they truly desire. And underneath all that ambition is often one silent question they are terrified to ask out loud. "Oh, if someone truly knew me, would they stay?" And that question has haunted humanity for centuries. Kings felt it, inventors felt it, artists felt it, entrepreneurs felt it. Every person who ever carried a vision larger than themselves eventually faced the same emotional paradox. The more extraordinary your mind becomes, the more desperately your heart searches for something real. And because success impresses people, but love transforms people. And when love is real, it does something extraordinary to the human nervous system. Science actually supports this. When someone feels emotionally safe, the brain changes, stress hormones decrease, creativity expands, risk tolerance increases. Human beings literally become more innovative when they feel connected, understood, and emotionally supported. Think about that for a second. The future of innovation may not depend only on intelligence, but on emotional connection. Manja, maybe the greatest breakthroughs in history were not born only from intellect, but from people who finally found a reason bigger than fear. And that is why tonight is not really about romance. It is about courage. The courage to stop hiding behind achievement and admit that even the strongest people still need love. Even the boldest visionaries still crave connection. Even the minds capable of changing civilization still want someone who looks into their eyes and says, "You do not have to carry the universe alone." Banjis. Because there comes a moment in life when ambition itself evolves. At first, people want success to prove something. Then they want power to control something. Then they want recognition to validate something. But eventually, if they are honest with themselves, they realize none of those things can replace human closeness. None of those things can sit beside you during silence and make the silence feel warm instead of empty. And when someone finally enters your life who sees through all the armor, it changes you. Not instantly, not dramatically at first. It begins subtly. You start thinking differently, working differently, dreaming differently. The future stops feeling like a lonely mission and starts feeling like a shared destination. Suddenly, the idea of building a better world becomes personal because there is someone you want to experience that future with, someone whose presence makes your victories feel meaningful instead of merely impressive. That feeling is rare. And rare things change history because every civilization advances through technology, but survives through human connection. Without emotional bonds, progress eventually becomes hollow. A society without love becomes efficient, but empty, advanced, but emotionally starving. But look around the world right now, people are more connected digitally than ever before, yet emotionally disconnected at terrifying levels. Anxiety is rising, loneliness is rising, depression is rising. Why? Because human beings were never designed to live only through screens, metrics, and performance. We were designed for presence, for touch, for eye contact, for emotional honesty, and maybe that is why the words, "Will you accept my love?" carry so much weight, because beneath those words is something deeper than romance. It is the ultimate human risk. Dublian, it is one soul standing unarmed before another soul saying, "This is who I truly am." And in that moment, everything artificial falls away. Status disappears, wealth disappears, public image disappears. What remains is terrifyingly simple: the desire to be accepted without performance. That is why genuine love can feel more frightening than failure. Failure attacks your plans, love attacks your defenses. And most people do not realize how many emotional walls they have built up until someone arrives with enough sincerity to make those walls feel unnecessary. Suddenly, the person who spent years controlling every variable finds themselves unable to control their emotions. The person who mastered strategy discovers that the heart refuses to operate like a business model. The person who once trusted only logic begins making decisions based on something invisible but undeniably real. That transformation is not weakness, it is evolution, because the next stage of human progress is not merely technological. It is emotional intelligence. It is learning how to remain deeply human in an age increasingly dominated by machines. Think about the future we are entering. Artificial intelligence will automate tasks. Robotics will redefine labor. Neural interfaces may eventually blur the line between biology and technology. Entire industries will transform within decades. But as machines become more capable, one question becomes more important than ever: what qualities remain uniquely human? The answer is not calculation. Machines can calculate faster. The answer is not memory. Machines can store infinitely more information. The answer is not even efficiency. Machines will outperform humans in countless systems. What remains uniquely ours is emotional meaning, our ability to love beyond logic, to sacrifice without guarantee, to believe in someone during uncertainty, to hold another human being during pain and somehow make suffering lighter without solving it mathematically. That is humanity's real superpower, and ironically, the more advanced civilization becomes, the more valuable, authentic emotion will become. In a world flooded with artificial experiences, genuine feelings will become priceless. Real trust will become rare. Real loyalty will become revolutionary. That is why emotional honesty matters now more than ever for Kaut. Because we are entering an era where people may soon question whether anything is real anymore. Deep fakes will imitate faces. Algorithms will imitate personalities. Artificial voices will imitate emotion. Entire digital identities will blur reality itself. And in that kind of world, the most radical act may simply be sincerity. To look someone in the eyes and say, "What I feel for you is real." Do you understand how powerful those words become in a synthetic age? They become proof of humanity itself. And yet so many people still hesitate to speak honestly because they fear rejection. But rejection is not the greatest tragedy in life. The greatest tragedy is suppression. It is dying with emotions still trapped inside you because pride convinced you silence was safer. And history is filled with people who regret the words they never spoke far more than the risks they actually took. Because the human heart has memory, emotional memory. It remembers unfinished conversations. It remembers almost love. It remembers moments when fear interrupted destiny. I once heard someone say that courage is not the absence of fear but movement despite fear. I think love works the same way. Love is not certainty. Love is choosing vulnerability despite uncertainty. It is saying, I cannot predict the outcome, but I refuse to betray what I genuinely feel. That level of honesty changes people. And the fascinating thing is that emotionally courageous people often inspire others far beyond relationships. When someone becomes fearless enough to express authentic emotion, they usually become fearless in other areas of life too. Creativity expands, innovation expands, leadership expands. Why? Because authenticity removes internal friction. Energy that was once wasted on emotional suppression becomes available for creation. This is why some of the most transformative individuals in history operated with intense emotional conviction. They were not powered only by intellect. They were powered by belief, by passion, by emotional obsession with possibility. Emotion is fuel. A person who feels deeply can endure things others cannot. They can survive criticism longer. They can rebuild after failure faster. They can continue through impossible circumstances because they are connected to something larger than immediate discomfort. And love amplifies that force. Real love does not weaken ambition. It gives ambition meaning. And without meaning, success eventually becomes repetitive. You can buy larger homes, launch larger projects, gain larger audiences. But if there is nobody with whom the experience feels emotionally alive, the victories slowly lose their emotional impact. Achievement without connection becomes an endless cycle of temporary highs followed by deeper emptiness. That is why some of the wealthiest people in the world still feel unfulfilled, because the nervous system cannot survive on admiration alone. Human beings require emotional resonance. We need moments where another person truly understands the invisible weight we carry. And sometimes the strongest people carry the heaviest emotional isolation because everyone assumes they do not need support. But every visionary eventually reaches a breaking point where intelligence alone is no longer enough to sustain them emotionally. They need trust, they need warmth, they need someone who reminds them they are allowed to be human, not optimized, not perfect. Human, there is something profoundly beautiful about being loved during imperfection, not after success, not after healing completely, not after becoming flawless, but in the middle of chaos, in the middle of uncertainty, in the middle of becoming. That kind of love can resurrect exhausted souls. And maybe that is why the question, will you accept my love, carries such extraordinary emotional gravity. Because hidden inside that question is another one people rarely say aloud. Will you accept the real version of me? Not the public version, not the confident version, not the successful version carefully displayed for the world, the real version. The exhausted version, the hopeful version, the terrified version, the the version that still lies awake at night, wondering whether all this ambition is worth the emotional cost. That is the version people protect the most. And when someone is finally brave enough to reveal that hidden self, the response they receive can alter the trajectory of their entire life. Acceptance can heal wounds years of achievement never could. Rejection can sharpen people or shatter them. But authenticity always transforms them. Again, because once someone experiences the freedom of emotional truth, they can never fully return to emotional performance. They begin craving deeper conversations, deeper relationships, deeper meaning. Surface-level interactions start feeling emotionally empty. And this shift is happening globally right now. People are waking up. They are realizing endless distraction is not fulfillment. Endless consumption is not purpose. Endless performance is not identity. Humanity is beginning to hunger for something real again. Real conversations, real relationships, real feelings, real connection. And maybe this entire generation is standing at an emotional crossroads between artificial stimulation and authentic human depth. One path offers constant distraction, the other offers vulnerability. One path protects the ego, the other transforms the soul. But transformation always demands risk. That is the price of becoming fully alive. Because life was never meant to be merely safe. Safety can preserve existence, but only vulnerability creates meaning. Every beautiful experience in human history required emotional risk. Friendship, art, discovery, leadership, love, all of it demanded uncertainty. No great story was ever born from emotional avoidance. And perhaps that is why the future belongs not only to intelligent people, but to emotionally courageous people. The individuals capable of remaining sincere in a cynical world. The individuals capable of loving deeply, despite disappointment. The individuals capable of opening their hearts after pain instead of permanently shutting down. Those people will redefine what humanity becomes in the next century, because technology may shape civilization, but emotion shapes destiny. And somewhere, deep inside every ambitious person listening tonight, there is still a part quietly hoping that one day someone will arrive who sees beyond the achievements, beyond the pressure, beyond the image, and simply says, "You do not have to pretend with me." And when that moment finally happens, something extraordinary occurs inside the human spirit. The endless noise quiets down. The race slows for a second. The person who spent years trying to conquer the future suddenly realizes they have been starving for presence all along. Not applause, not attention, presence, because presence is rare now. People are physically together but mentally elsewhere. Entire conversations disappear behind notifications. Entire relationships collapse beneath distraction. We live in a civilization where people can reach millions online while struggling to connect honestly with one person sitting directly in front of them. And the emotional consequences of that disconnection are enormous. Human beings are becoming emotionally dehydrated. Conserian Socrater. We consume information constantly. But experience understanding rarely. We scroll endlessly through curated perfection, while privately wondering why we feel so empty inside. We compare our hidden struggles to other people's edited realities and slowly lose touch with our own emotional truth. But truth has a strange way of surviving. No matter how advanced society becomes, the heart continues demanding authenticity. No matter how sophisticated technology becomes, loneliness still hurts. No matter how successful someone appears externally, emotional emptiness still echoes internally, and that is why love remains timeless. Because love interrupts illusion. And love reminds people that beneath every title, every achievement, every reputation, there is still a fragile human being hoping to matter to someone in a deeply personal way. Not as a resource, not as an opportunity, not as an image, but as a soul. That kind of connection changes how people experience existence itself. Suddenly, ordinary moments become unforgettable. A late-night conversation becomes more valuable than luxury. Silence becomes comforting instead of awkward. The future becomes exciting instead of exhausting because there is someone you genuinely want beside you while building it. And this is where many people misunderstand power. Power is not emotional distance. Power is emotional clarity. The strongest person in the room is not always the loudest or the coldest. Sometimes the strongest person is the one brave enough to love openly in a world addicted to emotional games. The one brave enough to say, "I care about you," without manipulating, without pretending indifference, without turning sincerity into strategy. That level of emotional honesty is incredibly rare because it requires self-awareness. It requires someone to confront their fears directly instead of hiding behind ego. And ego has destroyed countless opportunities for real human connection. Think about how many people have lost extraordinary relationships simply because neither side wanted to appear vulnerable first. Pride kept them silent, fear kept them distant, time kept moving, and eventually life moved on without them. That is one of the cruelest realities of existence. Time does not pause for emotional hesitation. The clock keeps moving. Seasons change, people evolve, opportunities disappear. Entire futures can vanish because someone waited too long to say what their heart already knew. That realization changes you when you truly understand it. You begin speaking more honestly. You begin loving more fearlessly. You begin valuing connection more deeply than performance. Because eventually you realize life is not measured only by what you built. It is measured by what you felt, by who you loved, by whose life became warmer because you existed. At the end of everything, human beings will not remember most meetings, most emails, most transactions, most routines. They will remember emotional moments. They will remember who stood beside them during darkness. They will remember who believed in them when they doubted themselves. They will remember who made them feel alive. Emotion is what gives memory its gravity. And perhaps that is why the most advanced thing a person can become is not merely intelligent, but emotionally awake. Emotionally awake enough to recognize genuine connection, emotionally awake enough to stop confusing attention with love. Emotionally awake enough to understand that vulnerability is not a flaw in the human design, but one of its greatest features. Because vulnerability creates trust, trust creates intimacy, intimacy creates belonging, and belonging gives human beings the psychological strength to attempt impossible things. That is why communities change history. That is why partnerships create revolutions. That is why some individuals achieve far more together than they ever could alone. Human potential expands dramatically when people feel emotionally supported instead of emotionally isolated. The future will belong to those who understand this balance between innovation and humanity, between intelligence and compassion, between ambition and emotional truth, because the world does not need more emotionally disconnected geniuses. It needs conscious visionaries, people capable of building extraordinary things without losing their humanity in the process, and people capable of advancing civilization while still protecting the sacredness of human connection. People capable of saying, yes, we will build the future, but we will not abandon the heart while doing it. And maybe that is the deeper meaning hidden inside those words. Will you accept my love? Maybe it is not merely a romantic question. Maybe it is a human question. A question every soul asks in different forms throughout life. Will you accept the real me? Will you stand beside me while I become who I am meant to be? Say. Will you believe in me when the world becomes cold? Will you choose connection over ego? Will you choose truth over fear? Those questions define relationships. They define leadership. They define humanity itself. And the people who answer those questions courageously become unforgettable, not because they were perfect, but because they were real. In the coming decades, humanity will witness astonishing transformations. Cities will become smarter, transportation faster, machines more intelligent, realities may become digital. But no matter how advanced civilization becomes, one thing will remain unchanged: the human need to feel genuinely loved. Because love is not outdated, it is not irrational, it is not weakness, it is fuel for the human spirit. It is the force that gives exhausted people the strength to continue. It is the force that inspires parents to sacrifice, artists to create, inventors to persist, and dreamers to endure ridicule long enough to change the world. Love is the invisible energy behind many of humanity's greatest achievements. And perhaps the reason so many people feel lost today is not because they lack information, but because they lack emotional connection powerful enough.
If this message touched something inside you, don't let it end here. Take a moment to reflect on it. And remember, the greatest